Hi, I'm Kat Delaney, and this is today's Tarot. We have three interesting cards for the day. We have our first card, which is the Nine of Pentacles. Nines are numbers of completion, and so being that it's a pentacle ruled card, which governs earthly matters, things that we value, financial projects, uh, work projects, just projects in general, there's some kind of completion and realization that we are coming to today. And it's giving us some place of a little bit of rest and a sense of accomplishment. Like, okay, I accomplished this thing. Phew, okay, got that over with. And there is kind of this resting spot, this resting space today, that we are feeling and getting a sense of. So a time of leisure, as they say. The second card that we have today is more of a gloomy card. As you can see, the character in this card is not a happy individual. They look quite miserable. It is a Ten of Swords. And can you imagine what it would be like to have 10 swords in your hands, or 10 of them stabbed in your back? All right, doesn't feel comfortable, right? Well, swords are related to our mental body, how we think about things, where we identify with things, how fixated we are in our thoughts and our mental center. And the character here has been completely immobilized, even paralyzed by their mental center. So consider someone that is so fixated on an idea or looking at things. They just can't do anything else. They can't take care of themselves. They can't sleep. They can't eat. They can't do anything with their friends. They're so fixated on this thing. And it can be, tied to emotional stuff as well. But the whole sense of this card is that the mind is what is actually paralyzing this individual. And so, how can we be open minded? How can we be less fixated on how we personally see the world? And, a question I often invite people into this idea with is to invite them to look at my window. I have a big window. I just had an ambulance drive by, and outside my window it faces west, and I live in just outside of downtown Denver, just west of downtown Denver, actually. So if you look outside of my window, you and we're standing here and we look out at the world from this perspective, we can see a range of different things. And I might look at the tree that's right in front of my window and have my attention fall on a bird and hear their song and just be totally captivated by that and be in awe of the beauty of that bird, or, the sorrow of that bird, or whatever it is that within me is identifying in that bird. And perhaps, you may identify with something that is, you know, outside of my window that is a different impression, like the mountains, and it might cause you to reflect on all the fires that just happened. Or you could, have your attention fall onto the ambulance that just went by, and have your attention fall onto the individual that is being raced off to a hospital, or that is going to be rescued by that ambulance. Our attention can fall on these different things. You may have your attention fall on a car, that's outside, and get captivated in that, in your sense of lack or your sense of desire or any number of things. And all of these things exist just outside of my window. And we could fall into a conversation that is argumentative, and where we, pick at each other in regard to what we are seeing, because the other person isn't seeing what we're seeing. And it is, you know, it challenges how we see the world, even though at the same time all of these things are happening, all of these things are existing simultaneously. And just because I see something doesn't mean that it devalues what you see. If anything, what you see actually gives me more perspective and gives me more range in knowing what is out there in the world. So I think that this card is reminding us of that, that sometimes how we see things can be really paralyzing and can be really limiting and can actually be defeating in where we want to put our efforts in our day. And, considering that we only have 24 hours of the day, and hopefully we're taking some of that for rest that isn't, you know, in, induced by means of mental despair. We only have so much time to give things our attention and to let impressions come into our world. And so, how can we be more open with our mind, and let go of some of those swords? So that's pretty intense card, because we can be really identified with how we see the world. This third card that we have for today is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is a major arcana card. There's 22 of them in the 78 card deck. And being that it is a major arcana, it means that it is speaking to a major life lesson. Now, the High Priestess is ruled by the moon. And when we consider, the energy of the moon, the energy of the moon has a really special quality to it, in that throughout the course of a month, we see more or less of the reflection of the sun's light on its surface. And so it has this character that seems to wax and, grow and wane and deplete and get smaller. And we've seen that this one planetary body, the moon, or satellite, I guess, more appropriate, it actually does have an effect, and it seems to have a relationship with the water on our planet, which is why the High Priestess is governed, by the moon, and has a relationship with the emotional body and our emotional sense of self. And so this character is telling of a situation where our inner self is sitting in between something. We see both the black and the white pillars, and so there's some kind of decision or some kind of information that we are looking for of an emotional quality and emotional nature. And when we look at how water moves around the planet, all water cycles around the planet, and all things are brought around in circle and in cycle. And the moon, in that cycle of our month and our year, we see more or less light, and more things are revealed as the moon's light grows or gains in perspective, and things get lessened as it wanes and gets smaller. And we are in a process right now where the full moon, which we had on the 31st, is waning. And while we often associate the full moon for seeing things that, are revealed in the greatest light, I want to remind everyone that when the tide recedes, there's also a certain amount of revealing that happens of things that are underneath the surface. And so as the moon right now is waning, and it's losing white light, and as far as what we see, right, it's becoming more of a crescent on its waning edge and coming closer to a new moon. Things will be revealed that are underneath the surface. And that is what this card is telling us, is that things will be revealed without there being any effort needed from you. And so it's more of a time of waiting. And when you look at the character in this card, there is the Torah, which she has underneath her cloak, which is the secret of life, and it's the secret that is being revealed. So this is our reading for today. There is a lot going on with us today and right now in this time of year, and I've seen a lot through social media that people are under a lot of stress. I think that's, not only just because of what's going on in the world and everything that's happening in the US with our elections and everything like that, but we're also moving into a time of holiday time, which is stressful for people, and we're also seeing rise in, what's going on with the virus and the pandemic and everything. So it is a stressful time. And so I'm going to be putting together a little video for information on how to deal with stress and anxiety that I will be putting up on YouTube and offering later today. But if you need any help with any of these things or would like a personal reading, feel free to reach out and we will make something work. I wish you well, and I send you a good wish and a great big hug. I'll see you soon. Bye.